This is Why Am I a Mets Fan? A podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are two Syracuse-based sports reporters who are joining you with some Mets updates, rumors, and beyond. Beginning with this, the Mets are set to introduce Freddy Peralta tomorrow. It's going to be a Zoom call. Everybody relax. But it's an exciting Zoom call. Hello, Ashley.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little cold, but good.
It's a little cold in here. It's Syracuse in January. Yes, Freddy Peralta officially becoming a Met tomorrow. Very exciting. For a minute, I was like, why are they doing a Zoom call? But then you think about it, he's only guaranteed to be here for 1 year, and it was a trade. So they don't always really do the whole in-person, Citi Field situation.
I don't like it.
You don't like that it's a Zoom call?
Nope. I'm old school, but I don't like it. I get it that it's 1 year, but this guy is like a big deal. Why are we not bringing him in? You know what I mean? Like, this feels like it should be an in-person event, right?
And for all intents and purposes, they gave Bo Bichette one at Citi Field, and Bo Bichette is also probably, I understand it's not a 1 year deal, but it's most likely going to be. So, weird.
I'm just saying, it strikes me as a little bit odd, but that's okay. Not anti-Zoom, I'm just saying it could have went differently. Go ahead.
Anyways, so yeah, that'll be on Zoom for all of you who might be interested. But the real news there is that multiple reporters kind of after the Peralta signing, after we last spoke to you all last week, Pat Ragazzo, Michael Marino, reported that Peralta is open to signing an extension with the Mets, which was something that we had both spoken about. You know, you kind of hoped was the at least idea going into this. Open to it is not a guarantee. Freddy Peralta could easily pitch for a different team in 2027 if there's a season. But open to it is a good sign, especially if he likes New York. We sort of said on Peralta, all the green lights are there. Even based on his own social media presence, seems very excited to be a Met, has already reached out to multiple players on the team, has been very open and welcoming to the idea of coming to New York.
Open to work, one might say. Ashley and I really like that little feature on LinkedIn. It's funny. Okay, I actually do know what you mean, and I have to say, I think that was sort of always the plan and what we spoke about even a few weeks ago, right? Peralta was a great get. What would be better if he's not here for 1 year? You know, You want this guy as a part of your rotation for longer than that. And I think that if anyone is going to be able to make that happen, it would be a guy like David Stearns, who, for instance, already did that once with Peralta in 2020 with the Brewers. So David Stearns was asked about that possibility, and this is what he said. I'm not going to speculate on that on day one here. We'll let Freddie get acclimated to the organization, and any conversations that we may have in the future, I think we're going to do our best to keep private. Fair, David Stearns. I respect your game. But the point is, you know that behind closed doors, he's working overtime to make that happen.
Yeah, and David Stearns went on to say after he spoke on the addition of Peralta that the Mets had actually been after this trade with the Brewers since all the way back in November. Listen, don't make any mistake here. I think that David Stearns was very familiar with Peralta, obviously, from his time with the Brewers. You said it. He extended him in 2020, back when David Stearns was with the Brewers in Milwaukee. I think that David Stearns, this was a guy he absolutely knew on a personal level from his time in Milwaukee, was familiar with his work, and had wanted to bring him over to the Mets for a long time here. I think this trade, albeit a 1 year deal, albeit a 1 year and we'll see situation, I think this had been in the works with David Stearns for probably much longer than Mets fans have thought.
Which in a way I kind of like and respect and appreciate, because this entire time when David Stearns is trying to work out a deal with this guy, he's getting cooked in the comments, He's getting lit up on Twitter. That's one thing I will say that I felt like now, not to say the offseason is over, but I at least feel like we're winding down here as far as what the Mets are going to do. I feel like I really earned some, or David Stearns has earned some of my respect, because he was able to go through that offseason, go through the range of emotions that he knew that Mets fans were going to feel, from it's all over to we're so back, and he stayed cool, calm, and collected throughout the entire thing. What you can't say about him is that he's not going to be true to exactly who he is. He had a plan. He didn't want to go too lengthy with anybody. He didn't want to spend too much money. I ultimately feel that he kind of did what he said he was going to do here.
And I would imagine, in terms of Peralta specifically, he was waiting for the Brewers to be open to a package that he liked the idea of. Freddy Peralta would still not be in a Mets uniform if the Brewers had asked for a situation that David Stearns did not like and was not comfortable with, or if the Brewers asked for too much in a way, Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, we've been over that. So David Stearns was waiting until the time was right to welcome Freddie to New York, and he did just that. I have to speak my truth on Freddy Peralta. I've been holding something in.
Okay, let's go.
My
Don't hold back on me now.
No, I need to tell you a story because you don't actually know this story.
Oh God.
My basis in knowing, obviously I know a lot about Freddy Peralta now, but a few years ago, my sort of introduction to Freddy Peralta was based on, it was one of his bad years, one of the years he was hurt, injured, his stats kind of sucked, whatever. And I used to play MLB The Show with a friend of mine.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He was an ex-boyfriend, actually. We used to play MLB The Show, which I'm not a big gamer, but MLB The Show is fun as you know what. I am still in search of opportunities to play MLB The Show because it's a great time.
FAF.
What does that stand for?
Fun as.
Yeah, you can imagine. So we used to play MLB The Show, and whenever, I don't know, Freddy Peralta was on his team or something, and whenever Freddy Peralta would come in, again, this was a Freddy Peralta bad year, he'd be like, fuck, it's fucking Freddy Peralta. And then he would lose the game because he would give up $1 million, Freddy Peralta in this year, because if you know anything about the show, it's based on last year's version each year that comes out, so Freddy Peralta sucked in this version of the show. That's my Freddy Peralta connection.
That is remarkable.
We're doing Big J journalism here today, folks.
That is actually insane. And you know what the thing is? I don't know. The timing, I'm sure, wouldn't have even aligned on this, but you want to know what I really thought you were going to say?
What?
I thought we were going to go back to your time working for that minor league team. What did you work for again?
If you are unfamiliar, one summer at home, because I am from the Philadelphia greater area, interned for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the AAA affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies. You can only imagine how that opportunity and that time went for me as someone who is very openly a Mets fan.
No, the mascot race.
And then there was the mascot race, which I refused to participate in all summer long. They're called the Iron Pigs. So every single night at the ballpark, they have a 7th inning mascot race. There's a bacon, a pork or something. It's different types of meat in these costumes. And the interns were supposed to do it on a rotating... All right, this is already going off the rails. I'm going to have to cut this whole story. Really bad intro to the podcast today, guys. Every day as an intern, you were supposed to have a change of clothes with you so that you could do this mascot race.
I was just envisioning the spreadsheet. Thursday, Ashley - bacon.
And it was all rigged. The whole race was planned, as those things tend to be.
What lost? Bacon? Bacon loses every night?
I can't remember, but there was something that never won. Yeah. It was a pork chop, a bacon, a steak. No, that's the wrong thing, I think.
The pork chop never wins.
I don't know, guys. I only eat chicken. Anyway, the point of this story is... you'd have to bring clothes to change into a t-shirt and sweats to wear under the mascot. And I conveniently never had the clothes. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't bring them. And we got to August in this experiment, really the last week of the internship. And the supervisor guy was just you're never going to do the mascot race, are you? And I was like, nope. And we should have just all gotten on that same page 3 months ago.
Isn't that just wrong? I'm just thinking about some sorry-ass soul named Brad who's doing double duty in the bacon costume because you would never run in it.
But all the guys, listen, this was a very male-dominated internship. They were all wanted to do it all the time, lived for it. So I was like, you know what? Let them do it. One of my favorite tasks was there was this little cart they had a baseball on it. Incredible cart. I'm sure you've seen them. Some Major League Baseball parks have them, some minor league. And one of the jobs was driving the bullpen pitchers from the bullpen to into the mound on this cart. And whenever I could do that, you could sign me up. I was firing up that cart. Let's go. And then I would sit back there and just talk to the bullpen pitchers the whole game.
While the race is going on.
And when the Mets were in town, when the Syracuse Mets were in town, you bet I parked my ass and I just chatted with them the whole game. Bryce Montos Deoka or whatever, he's not on the Mets anymore. Him and I had some talks.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that part of it I didn't know, but I will say can't say that I've necessarily seen one of those carts, but from the looks and sounds of it, it's like not too far off from you firing up the convertible. It's like it has that
No,
same
it's not.
that same feel to it.
There's just a baseball on it.
Yeah, just a baseball.
I'll dig up a picture for you all and I'll post it to the Mets fan account one of these days.
Justice for Brad doing the overtime bacon race. Anyway, back to this episode.
Back to reality.
A New York Post bombshell article came out this week. And according to Ashley, they just keep on coming. Ashley is a big New York Post girl, too. She's reading. I feel like you do read that pretty
Me and the
frequently.
New York Post, we've had some trials, tribulations, you know.
All of that.
A relationship.
Oh, I'm not even going to steal clap for it because it doesn't deserve that.
No, it doesn't.
The bottom line is, here was what we found out this week. Couple of things. Pete Alonso, according to this article, was open to DHing 5 days a week, but Stearns didn't want to go 5 years for him. I get that.
I completely agree. I think we talked about it at length, signing Alonso to one of those, I don't even know who to compare it to. Signing Pete Alonso to one of those aging first basemen, like you can name off the likes that the contracts turn bad. Miguel Cabrera, name off your aging veteran first baseman. Albert Pujols. Pete Alonso was about to turn into that in New York. Maybe not for another year or 3, but years 4 or 5, I feel like we're going to be ugly. And I was not interested in seeing them. And that's nice that Pete Alonso was open to DHing 5 days a week, but I am honestly happy for him and Haley and the entire family that they are now in Baltimore. Because I've also reached something with the Pete Alonso bit very recently. I keep seeing people in the comments and in the, they trade for Lou Bob and people are like, oh, we could have just had Alonso still. I need you to drop the Alonso thing. It's over. It's done. There's a reason why it's over. Enough. No more Pete Alonso. I'm not saying you can't mourn him. We talked about it. Lifelong Met, played here for a long time. There's obviously going to be some emotions there. But at the end of January, we need to be done.
Enough. Don't make me call him up.
It's not even getting into that.
There's just too many stories. But I'm bringing that on as a bit at some point. The very long story short is I made up a character that we have now in the sports department
fake.
and beyond. He's fake. But when something's going on and I feel like I've had enough, I call up my guy, E. Nuff. First name E, last name Nuff.
Yes.
If I feel like we have to call him up on this podcast, I'm not going to hesitate because my guy, he's got me. Called him up earlier today. What'd he say? Drop it on Pete Alonso. Enough said it's enough.
I'm getting a call. It's enough. It's a spam call. But that was great timing. No, it's enough on Pete Alonso. I saw somebody resurface today. Somebody resurfaced the article that came out long time ago, 7-8 years ago, of Pete Alonso's rookie season when he was doing press and, it was a big thing. Pete Alonso coming up to the Mets. And Jacob deGrom said, it's not the New York Petes, it's the New York Mets, because that is what Alonso was. Alonso was sort of a self-centric guy. We've established that at this point. There's been some things there in the clubhouse. So Jacob deGrom was in on this 7 or 8 years ago. Jacob deGrom accepted it. I'm going to need some of the rest of you to accept it.
I mean, that's fair. Like, honestly, that's valid logic. And I think we all are going to pretty much have to go based on that.
Move on.
But there are other things that came out of this, too. Get a grip. GAG. The Rangers were willing to move Marcus Semien because his relationship with Corey Seager became toxic. Thought that was an interesting bullet. Moving to the next one, just to throw 2 out there, the Mets were apparently much deeper in on Kyle Schwarber than previously known. I'm not going to say I knew it. I'm going to say that doesn't surprise me, though.
On Schwarber.
It makes sense why they would have been in on him, at least for some part of that offseason. I still think I love the players who they chose. I think they ended up with better than Kyle Schwarber.
I agree.
I think Kyle Schwarber and Philly makes sense to me. I think that was a marriage that probably should continue on, and the Mets went in a different direction, but it makes sense to me why they would have been looking at him at some point.
Yeah, you knew that once they accepted that Alonso was a goner, they were looking to replicate that power in the lineup, that bat, that just power threat, right, alongside Soto. And obviously, looking at Schwarber, looking interdivision, looking at even the possibility of stealing him away from the Phillies, of course that would have been intriguing to them. You make a division rival weaker and you boost your own lineup in the process. So I'm not totally shocked to hear that, but now in retrospect, obviously hindsight is always 20/20. I do agree with you, and I'm glad that that's not the move they made because I don't know if Schwarber was going to do the high average annual value short-term deal situation. They got Lou Bob, in a trade. That's something that made sense for them. I don't think that Kyle Schwarber was in the market for what the Mets were in the market for.
I love this bullet. David Stearns called Brett Baty for a, quote, reassuring call after signing Bo Bichette and told him that he can still get 500 plate appearances while moving around and playing multiple positions, namely left field, and told Brett Baty that he believes he can play left field well. I'm so glad to hear this because that guy has to just be losing so much sleep over the past week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't feel like people talk a lot about the mental side of being an athlete, but that's hard, man. I mean, we talked all the past few years about the fact that he's been going up and down from Syracuse, back to the Mets, Syracuse, back to the Mets. Then you finally get to the Mets. You feel for one moment a sense of security.
Yeah.
Everybody, including the fans, are saying that you're going to be the everyday third baseman, and then you aren't at all.
No, yeah.
I mean, let's at least give Baty some credit. Mid-offseason, he's having to shift everything he's been working on. He's going to have to be doing different drills. He's going to be preparing for a different position. No one's saying that he can't play it, but let's give him some credit for at least being flexible in a time when, quite honestly, some other players probably wouldn't have taken the news that well.
Yeah, I mean, with the addition of Bo Bichette, as we said at the time, there's not going to be a whole ton of room for Brett Baty in terms of playing third base in 2026 for the Mets. So we all were kind of sitting here like, well, what's the plan for Baty? What's the plan for Vientos half the time? Are they going to trade them? What's going on? To hear this come out in this Post article that Stearns actually thought it was important enough to call up Brett after they acquired Bichette and tell him that he is still in the, I mean, if he's saying 500 plate appearances, that is the everyday plans. Brett Baty might be just the left fielder for the New York Mets in 2026, at least until Carson Bench is ready. So I also like to hear that just from an organizational communication standpoint. We've done a lot of talk this offseason about optics. Oh, the Mets are operating in a way that reminds us of the Wilpon days, of some stuff PR-wise was getting murky. You know, let me know when you see smoke on social media, all of it. We had taken a step back and started to question, I guess, the communication style and the priorities of the Stearns-Cohen regime. To me, to call up a guy that, for all intents and purposes, has, a year in the big leagues, a year and a half, if we're being generous. I mean, Brett Baty was not an everyday player in New York until midway through 2025. So to call up and value a guy like that and tell him, hey, you are still in our plans. Who knows what he said about trades, but just to give him that security and that reassurance, I think to me is a good sign just on David Stearns.
It's just the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Yep.
And it's nice to see Mets leaders, Mets decision makers doing the right thing. Beyond that, one other thing that came out that was interesting is that it would have taken trading the Mets' top 5 prospects to get Tarik SKUBAL right now. That would have been Nolan McLean, Carson Bench, Jet Williams, Jonah Tong, and Brandon Sproat. Absolutely the not.
No.
Come on now.
Nope. The answer's no.
Are you kidding me? And this is actually why I actually do like David Stearns to a degree. The last thing that you want is to be stingy, and we talk a lot about that balance. You have to be in win now mode, but you also want to win in the future. You also want to build. I think most Mets fans probably would prefer that the Mets leaders cater a little more to a win now mindset because we haven't won one in a long time.
Yeah.
So of course everybody wants to win now. But you can't dispute the fact that the Mets have really great prospects right now. They have a really great farm system. I do not blame David Stearns for not wanting to fuck that up. And honestly, I think this totally would have. It would have been a fleece. It would have been a bad move.
God.
And you would have been giving away so many big pieces to your future.
Also, for one season, you can get the hell out of Dodge. Tarik SKUBAL, his contract runs through 2026 and not much further. It would have been the same exact situation as Freddy Peralta. All right, we'll bring you on for a year and then hope we can extend you. Sure, if the Mets would have brought in SKUBAL this offseason, maybe you'd think that they'd have a leg up as the team that extends him or signs him in free agency. A la, as if Freddy Peralta, same situation. Would that have been nice to have in your back pocket regarding SKUBAL and to have him on your team in 2026? Yeah, but at what cost? You're going to trade away your 3 top pitching prospects and then 2 great outfield positional prospects as well. 2 of these 5 guys are not on the team anymore because they traded them for Freddy Peralta, aka Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. We talked about how we were okay with that deal. You got to give a little to give. You got to give to get. You know what I mean? You weren't going to get an ace caliber starting pitcher without giving up some of the farm system. You have to part with some of these prospects. We have been well established in saying that. But I mean, Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat, and 2 outfield, you can just get out. Like, what? Nobody's agreeing to that. I don't care if it is Cy Young himself or Shohei Ohtani on the other, maybe for Ohtani, but on the other side of the line. Like, nobody, that's unrealistic. That, honestly, when I saw this, I'm like, what are they asking for from other teams? Because even though people have been fighting about this in the comments, the Mets have one of the top farm systems in baseball, took a little bit of a hit recently with the subtraction of Sproat and Jet Williams. But last year at the All-Star break, the Mets farm system was ranked as the #1 farm system in baseball by ESPN. Now with the subtraction of Sproat and Williams, it's like 5 or 6. You get the idea. It is still a top 5, top 10 farm system. I mean, if that's the talent you're asking from the organization that has one of the top, like, what are the Tigers asking for SKUBAL? What are we doing here?
No, that's actually a great point. Could any other team have enough to give that it would
I
even
don't
be
think
worth
so.
it? You know what I mean? Literally, I look at a list like this and I'm like, that for Shohei Ohtani. And I know this is going to make people upset, but it just seems like from a future standpoint and how many players they were asking for, no one is denying the fact that Tarik SKUBAL is the red rose, but I'm just fine with the pink one. All right, give me that bouquet if I got to give up less. And I really, really do think that Freddy Peralta is going to do a serviceable job for much, much less. Can't promise it, but I feel a lot better about where we're at.
For Luis Angel Acuna and I mean, obviously that was for Lubob and Sproat and William. You can give me Freddy Peralta every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
100%. That trade in its entirety, to me, felt like Mets get $10, Brewers get $6. Like,
Totally.
I honestly think that we ended up on top of that one. All right, last thing that we wanted to discuss, Mets sign closer Craig Kimbrel to a minor league deal. This is a fascinating dude. I think Craig Kimbrel, I think this. Y'all know if you know. It's just that weird little situation that he had going on there. He kind of had a weird wind-up. I've seen him play some really good ball, to be honest with you, even against the Mets. He was on the Phillies for a while.
The Braves.
Yep, the Braves. Here's kind of his situation. He's old. He is not youthful, y'all. He's like 37 years old. Ashley put he hasn't really been that good since 2019 when he signed with Chicago. But it includes an invite to spring training, and they will pay him $2.5 million if he makes the big league team. Again, classic David Stearns move. I don't mind it, though. He's like my sleeper pick. I'm telling you, I am not out on Craig Kimbrel at all.
Craig Kimbrel, I think Mets fans got a front row seat to him for a long time on the Braves, as I said. Then he was great on the Red Sox. Red Sox, question mark. Don't know what's going on there. Still don't have an answer on the plural of Red Sox, White Sox.
Did anyone comment that?
They said they think it's just White Sox, Red Sox, which just sounds so bizarre and
very
weird.
odd.
Anyways, Mets fans got a front row seat to him for a long time. Obviously, at his prime, Craig Kimbrel was one of the best closers in the game. One of the best closers the game has ever seen there for a few years, honestly. A guy who I think is going to be sort of on the bubble of that Hall of Fame conversation. At 37, I mean, he's washed. Let's admit it. Craig Kimbrel is washed. A phrase I like to use around here that I heard on New York Sports Talk Radio is that the shower's on. You're not saying you're washed, but the shower's on. I stole that from WFAN. The shower is on for Craig Kimbrel. Make no mistake. This could be nothing. He could show up to Port St. Lucie, absolutely suck. Nobody pays him $2.5 million and it's done. But David Stearns loves a situation that is low risk, high reward. You see it with the trade for Lubob. You see it with a few things here. Even Bichette. Even Peralta, 1-year situations, low risk, high reward. That's what this Craig Kimbrel thing is to me. Obviously, the guy's old. Obviously, his best years are behind him. But, I mean, the experience is there. 440 career saves. He's second to Kenley Jansen among active pitchers and 5th all time. I mean, even... I'm saying it seemed like, people and experts are saying Kimbrel's like a bubble 5th all time on the all-time saves list. Like, is this guy a bubble Hall of Famer? Probably deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I like it. Obviously, Williams is still going to be the closer, right? The Mets this offseason have added Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, and Luis Garcia to the bullpen, and those are obviously the guys you're going to rely on. Williams in that closer role, presumably. But Kimbrel as a potential depth option, what is the risk there? He makes the team, and you pay him $2.5 million, and he's a great depth piece, and you call on him sometimes in high urgency spots when Devin Williams isn't available, or he sucks in spring training and nobody cares.
Like, what's the harm?
There is no risk.
Yeah. And honestly, listen, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, I'm not going to sit here and say I've made my peace.
No, I haven't.
I really haven't. And it's still something that I think about that makes me feel nervous. What's up?
I'm going to make a bold prediction that the New York Mets are absolutely going to be in the bullpen market, shopping around for relief pitchers at the trade deadline, as they tend to be.
The one piece still, why they would let Edwin Diaz go blows my mind.
Let's not even do it.
All right, you're right.
He already has veneers. He's been I saw a thing on social media.
Really?
He's been in LA for like 8 seconds. Already has the veneers. Called up Freddie Freeman's doctor.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it look good?
No.
I can't.
I don't really ever think veneers look good. So that has nothing to do with LA.
No,
Don't
I know.
come at
I know.
me.
I can't imagine that it does.
No.
That's a bizarre move. In any case, I wish he was here with his normal teeth. You know what I mean? Really?
I'm going to title this episode Edwin Diaz's Veneers, MLB The Show, and the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs.
No, we did the last 5% in the first 5%.
Yeah, we did, and I'm sorry.
Maybe just throw that in the comment section so people know what to expect. Point is, Craig Kimbrel, we're rooting for you. Good luck to you. And we'll just see how that all shakes out. Final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. I'm just reading now what I have down. 2.25 ERA over 14 appearances between the Braves and Astros last season. That's not bad. Even that, 2.25 ERA. All right, he only made 14 appearances, but still.
Telling you.
It was his 16th year in the majors. Obviously, he's gone through some trials and tribulations as well. But keeping that in mind, like I said, one of the best closers in the game for a long time, for a few years.
Who cares that it was in
that
2011?
5-year span.
It happened. The point is, he
National
was great.
League Rookie of the Year in 2011. One of David Stearns' one of his type of pickups. But no, we'll see what happens. It's a risk. It's a flyer, but it's a good risk. We continue to chug towards pitchers and catchers. Not that far away. At this point, it's in like a month. I am waiting with bated breath. If anybody sees, I go through this every year. If you know, you know. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a few years, you know. I remain on the hunt for the Lindy's baseball preview. I go after it every year. It is my favorite magazine. It comes out in February, and it really brightens my February in Syracuse, New York. So if you see it on a newsstand near you, let me know, because I am trying to find it.
It's true. This has been a long thing. Like we've been friends for a couple years now. Y'all may know that. I have heard many, many things about this magazine. So
my dad used to buy it for me when I was younger. Every year, I would wait for it to come home with him in February, and now I look for it myself.
That's so sweet. The address is 1030 James Street. Send one over if you find one.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for being here, everyone. This has been the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. We are inching very close towards the 15,000 subscriber train. All aboard, bitches. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for being with us.